Hello, Steve White, TrekBoy89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, the current state of Star Trek is mostly on account of the split of Paramount CBS back in the 90s. And most Star Trek fans, or a lot of Star Trek fans, have been under the impression that all we needed was to unify the companies again, reunite the companies again, and all our problems would be solved and Star Trek would be fixed. But unfortunately, it didn't really solve anything. Basically, all the contracts stayed in place. And what it did do, I mean, it took away the threat of the companies suing each other, which meant they didn't have to worry about using or not using things from different versions anymore. And I think they just stopped caring, because when there were two different companies, competing companies, CBS was very protective about the original Star Trek, and they wouldn't allow Paramount to use any of it. That's why they had to sort of create this little pocket universe through Bad Robot in order to make Star Trek again. And when they combine the companies again, it's like they just didn't care anymore. And now they willingly killed off the original Star Trek canon universe, which was only existing and surviving in the literary universe at this point, which is something that JJ wanted them to do back in 2009, and they refused to. He wanted only the 2009 Star Trek universe to have merchandise produced for it, so they'd get all the sales. And they said, well, no, we've got our Star Trek. We're not going to sacrifice our Star Trek for your Star Trek, because we make money from this. You go make money from your limited license. But now it's all one thing. I don't think they care anymore. And I think maybe it might have even been a better situation, because at least they were protecting the original Star Trek and keeping it separate from the JJ universe. Now it just seems to be just a mess now. And I'm sort of realizing that Star Trek really is dead now, because before, it's like that universe still existed, it just wasn't active. And there were no live action movies or TV shows or animated shows, but we still had the comics and the novels, and the fans were keeping it alive like they did between 1969 and 1979. We did it for a whole decade. I figured we could do it as long as we need to, and eventually someone will come into CBS, Paramount, and actually realize, well, this isn't working. This is not really what Star Trek was. This was working. This was great. Let's go back to that, modernize it, make a few changes, but basically stick to what made Star Trek Star Trek. A utopian view of the future, a future that we can aspire to, characters that are larger than life that we can aspire to, not people that are the same as us with the same contemporary problems with their government and so forth. And it's not just us in space in the future. Star Trek was more than that. But yeah, basically it's dead, Jim. And I didn't think this would happen. I really thought we could keep it alive long enough for the studios to get a clue. But I think this has gotten to the saturation point now, where there's no one at Paramount who knows what Star Trek was. And all the people that own the IPs and work the IPs and milk the IPs and farm the IPs, they just don't care anymore. And they're not making the connection between merchandise that used to sell the original Star Trek and the new Star Trek. They just blame Star Trek. Oh, Star Trek's just not popular. Not we're making the wrong Star Trek and merchandising products people don't want for a show they don't like. No, it's just Star Trek's not popular. It's not Star Wars. And I think eventually they're just going to continue to push it in the direction of Star Wars and contemporary science fiction, kill it, blame it for its own death, and abandon it. That's just where I see the future of Star Trek, and that's so depressing. But, in Gene's universe, basically Earth was almost destroyed before it rose from the ashes. So maybe Star Trek will one day rise from the ashes of being totally destroyed by CBS Paramount. But yeah, they killed the original universe in live action and movies. Then they killed it in the comics, and they killed it in the literary universe and fiction as well. So it's just dead. And I really didn't think this would happen, but I'm just sort of realizing. And I mean, I started this channel in part so I could talk about what was happening with Star Trek and hopefully be one of the voices, speaking out against it, and hopefully that, they'd eventually listen to the fans and want our money again, because I haven't bought Star Trek merchandise in years. I mean, all I buy is Transformers and He-Man and Smurfs and stuff like that. I don't buy Star Trek merchandise anymore. Like they stopped making the show for me, so I stopped giving them my money. And a lot of other fans did too. But they didn't make the connection. They're just like, oh, Star Trek's just not popular now. Oh, oh, it's Star Trek's fault, not us. So yeah, never them. So yeah, it's dead, Jim, and I'm just recognizing that. So I needed some YouTube therapy to talk about it for a minute, and I just can't believe that we're actually in a better situation when the property was split between two companies than we are now with one company with it who doesn't know what it is, doesn't know what to do with it, and is going in the total wrong direction and just destroying it more and more. I mean, Discovery was just one big slide downhill, and Strange New World started well but has gone badly, and I don't think it's going to get any better. So yeah, R.I.P. Star Trek. Yeah, it breaks my heart. Bye.